and establish rules, we have to be accountable to them.
Challenge my thinking.
We need to look at the generation coming up, and we need to empower them with entrepreneurial thinking.
Yes, but the people who are building schools, are you using AI to build better schools?
Effectively, you could let AI only work for your people by addressing mundane tasks, or you could let AI roll out learning programs that become part of your customer suite and how you service your customer base and also your people.
What could you dream of in terms of making that accessible?
Start being leaders that deploy programs that can actually personalize language programs to the user so that they can keep up and understand and then feel the relevance to it. That's what AI is here to empower us to do.
That's another hot take. Hot take.
Yeah, good. Got that off my chest.
You did. And you did get a lot of your chest. Veronica Brits, how
Jason,
are you doing today?
Yeah, good. I'm good, thank you. It's good to be with you.
No. How are you really? Like, how are you really?
Yeah, good, man. I'm recovering from a flu, so I'm out here, just stepping into the spaces to have good conversation. We're in the midst of seasonal changes up in the north here in the Netherlands, but no complaints.
Brilliant. See, I had to ask 2 times. I don't even know if it's a hack or a trick or something where you ask someone, how are you? Everyone's going to go fine. I'm so happy that you said good. So like a little bit different. You didn't say I'm fine. But then you just double it up and be like, how are you really? And, now I found out you're a soldier coming from... You're not sick. Everybody has their ups and downs. So you just have a little bit of a niggle, which is fine.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say thank you for showing up, all the way from the Netherlands. But yeah, we're going to dive into awesome conversation. I do know you from 4 or 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, at least 5, maybe even 6, to be honest.
Maybe, yes. Yeah, please, let's backtrack a little bit because I'd love to fully actually understand who you are, because we've met in a professional setting and, I was a service provider to your company, and that was a really cool, exciting time. But let's backtrack maybe even a little bit further before that, but giving our listeners a little bit of context on how we know each other. Let me know when do you remember our first interaction?
Yeah, I do actually. I think it was in Cape Town at an ISP called RSA Web. And
Yes.
you were really, I think the first time I met you, you were kind of brought in to come and work with the team, and your conversations were really around inspiring, concepts of sales and how to work with clients. And your high energy, your authenticity is something that I truly connected to. And I think from that point, we connected on LinkedIn, and we've always been kind of cheering each other on in a distance. Watching our journeys. I've watched you really try and, kick off on your own startup conversations. Yes. I've watched you, become a thought leader in business and, working with various leaders across various industries. So I think we kind of share a sentiment for, the idea of stepping into your fullness, of who you are and how you can offer services and learning about different industries and industry verticals. So I'd say we meet each other on a concept of thought leadership.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That's so true. We will step into the realm of where you have now started your own business, which is super exciting. But before we go even further to where you are now, I'd love to go even back before I'd met you. Like, what's the character version of Veronica? Where you from? Like, if you had an opportunity to paint a picture and you only have like 5 colors, what does that Veronica picture look like?
Sure, that's a good question, Jason. Geez, man, not only do you ask twice about how you do, you really get into the meat of people, eh? Um, yeah, I'd say, to sum me up in short, I'm incredibly transformative, and throughout my life, I kind of was in such a situation where, coming kind of from a single parent home, I moved across different schools, as mom was moving across her career. And that taught me how to be agile. And when I looked at my career reflecting back now, I've transformed across 4 global industries, so whether it was initially a service industry like hospitality and learning really about etiquette and, service related detail, and then later moving into tech and data. I'm a learner, I love to be uncomfortable. I love to step into spaces that challenge me and make me feel like, hey, this can actually make me better. I have a strange, passionate relationship with, like being kind of truly pushed into a corner and then asking yourself, can you move from this space? So like I see any sort of thing that comes against me as an opportunity to point out the things inside of me responding to it. So relearn and learn and unlearn is a motto that I live by. Very unafraid and I think very intense in a way, or, intentional about every action that I take.
Sure. I can attest to that. In terms of the word intense, if I have to hop on that, I think it's a beautiful intense. It's brave, it's courageous. So not even any type of negativity. I think you've got a beautiful intensity to you, and that intensity, I'm sure, has focused you to move to the Netherlands. Let's fast forward to that. How did that come about?
Yeah, when I was initially in the internet services space, I went to a Women in Tech conference in South Africa, and the topic of data came up, and it was all about STEM and how, STEM was going to drive big business outcomes and objectives. And the topic around data science, data engineering became really topical. And I started doing a couple of online courses and learning about data and started writing articles about data, and was picked up by a software services company that was based in Norway. And I worked with them in South Africa for 1.5 years. And then I was again reached out on LinkedIn. One of my, network connections kind of asked me in a very joking way, like, are you ready to move to the big leagues? And it was a digital marketing space, kind of agency.
Yes.
I never saw myself moving into an agency landscape.
Yes.
But I used the opportunity because the opportunity that was presented was about kind of becoming a digital producer in a data-driven creative concept. And it was kind of, 3.5 years ago, like a fairly new idea in terms of how to activate advertising with big data strategy behind it. And I took another classic Veronica move, a salary cut, but I saw the opportunity to move countries and learn new skills. So I don't chase titles. I went from kind of leading business teams to rather, stepping into the product role. And for me, the Netherlands was a kind of an interesting hand that was dealt. It was just the opportunity was there, and I, jumped on it, and I just finished a degree at the University of Cape Town. And I thought, I still have the freedom. I can, start brand new. And I took the leap.
Sure. I like it a lot. I didn't know that about you, actually, because I was following your story, and I always have followed your story. We're LinkedIn buddies, always like high-fiving each other. But it always just seemed like it was in control. So not the salary gap, like cut and all that. It didn't seem like it was part of the conversation. For me, it was just like, whew, this lady's going from here, next level, here. And, so that's so interesting insight when how that's what you see on social media. But thank you so much for sharing, and the sentiment around this podcast, which is, I can see that you felt a little bit of my intention or my intensity is, what? Hopefully you're feeling a little bit naked now, right? You're supposed to get naked on Professional Pillow Talk. And in that sense, it's about sharing as raw as you've shared right now, right? As authentic, as honest, and interesting. So I really appreciate it. And I'm going to, peel back a few layers, because the internet is an interesting space. And I'm going to add a little bit of color to the Veronica story, where I know that you're quite a sports avid. So you recently cycled 500 kilometers.
550.
What?
So not so,
Oh,
not so excessive, but 50.
Oh, did you say? Oh, 50. Okay.
Yeah.
50 kilometers. Still quite a feat. So tell me about that, like in terms of sports. Like that's quite a feat.
Yeah. I mean, sports is something that I've done since I was, a kid. I've been kind of growing up. I loved athletics. I was playing lots of netball at school till at least the age of 27. Last year I conquered Kilimanjaro. I've done the Camino, the 90-kilometer Camino walk,
Sure.
and jumping on my bike for a 50-kilometer cycle. That's my average. That's a Saturday morning. So that's just a way to clear my head and to really get outside of myself and to feel the fresh air. I think you can probably attest to it when we sit in a construct of a digital world, which we have socially engineered to look picture perfect. It's kind of refreshing to step away from it and to get a little bit, challenged and rugged and sweaty and dirty and, a couple of scrapes and bruises just to feel human again.
Yeah, no, brilliant. So we're going to get into our topic, but I just want to hear a little bit about your business, right? So that next leap. So you've now left South Africa. They said, come into the big leagues. And you were like, I can do this, right? And you came into the big leagues, and I'm sure you did the things. If you want to share, I would love to hear a little bit about what you did and why you've transitioned into starting a company called FeedFlex Creatives.
Yeah, cool. So I think, the biggest thing when I moved to the Netherlands 3.5 years ago was the moment you sit at home looking at your apartment and you have to pack a 50-kilogram bag. Okay. Of course you can ship over tons of things, but if you're coming over on budget, there's no trust fund pushing me across the waters. It's just me, myself, and I and my big dreams. You start reviewing material wealth, and what's important for you. And that concept became so deeply rooted in me over the last 3.5 years. I quickly realized that the thing that was making me rich was the traveling experience itself. It was engaging, with foreign, countries and cultures and ideas and concepts. And it was then always this strange reflection I made back to South Africa, which had a deep rooted home environment for me, and always kind of doing the comparison about where I was as a person or my environment was versus where I am right now. Building a business, I would say, none of my friends, I'm sure, ever thought that, Veronica is the classical entrepreneur type, or, we see her as, truly, I think I can be a natural leader, but I definitely didn't see myself as being an entrepreneur. This feels more like base jumping, and the risk, but if you get it right, you can really fly. So I guess I just got to a point of being on the forefront of driving data-driven creative strategies, which in a sense is media automation. I felt the big kind of conflict of change that was being addressed in our environments. And now, of course, for us as humans, change isn't new. And we'd seen the big .com era. We've watched the smartphone get launched in 2007. We saw the impact of technology, but we've never seen it at this quantum scale. So data, surprisingly enough, the volume of it, we've only generated it in the last 2 years, was starting to put real pressure on environments. And I found it really fascinating to see how both teams that are already technical were struggling with what, technical was asking from them. So the experience of being both innovative and kind of, I've worked with teams where we've won awards for best use of technology. You feel so empowered, but at the same time, you can feel that it's asking a lot of the environment. So it became my inspiration to building FeedFlex Creatives, which is centered around media automation and doing all the cool, sophisticated stuff.
but to do so from a very ethically responsible way, to look at sustainable businesses and how to empower people and create learning methodologies on the way. Because let's face it, the future of AI really is asking for a fundamental understanding of statistics and code and mathematics. And it's not everybody's strong suit. Especially not in environments where you have big skills gaps already kind of coming from prehistoric times. You still have to address that on top of this. So I wanted to take my passion for people, my understanding of diversity, and moving from third world to first world, and kind of seeing what was needed and put it into a concept, and being okay whether it succeeds or fails. Was an easy answer for me at that point.
Sure. Thank you for sharing. And it's also a great segue into the topic that I'd love to tango with you today. Because, we tangled a little bit around this conversation. Was it about 2 or 3 weeks ago while I was in Durban? And, you've got this tech background, you call yourself a tech enthusiast, but then you're very happy to be people driven. And then you're also not shy to recognize where you come from, because you say the richness of who you are is in the travel. But of course, I think you probably see yourself more by traveling. That's why you become rich, right? They say like you become you learn about yourself through the eyes of others. So you've got to meet yourself through they hold up a mirror. So the segueing into the question that we both tangled with was, there's an interesting intersection between AI, business, and skills development in marginalized societies. So maybe the first question I want to ask, what's your relationship with AI?
I see AI as my assistant. It's like a companion in my digital environment. It's helping me address the fast-paced scale, and it's keeping me very sophisticated, because it's allowing me to garner an understanding that we have made technology so sophisticated that we need help navigating it. And I use AI as my friend. It's my trusty neighbor,
Yes. Oh, I love that answer. Because sometimes AI it is tech, right? But it's tech that lives everywhere. It lives in our phones. It's of course all on the internet. But the key word I like is like it's an assistant. So you treat it similar to like a human. And it's maybe how old is your assistant? Are they young? Are they mature? Like where's your AI assistant at the moment?
Well, you know what? Coming back to what you were saying about the experience of whoever you meet and whoever you engage with becoming a mirror reflection, I see AI as a mirror reflection to me. So it's engagement with me. So like if you look at ChatGPT, for example, it's rolled out its memory updates. So it can actually contextualize a little bit of your conversations you've been having with it from a memory bank. Yeah, fair, it can get a bit confused when you overcomplicate prompts to it, like in long sentences or instruction. But fundamentally, it becomes the type of person you are in terms of how you search topics. And I'm very, I do lots of points of discussion with it. So sometimes I will even use it from my phone, and I will just use the voice prompt and have a conversation. Hey, I'm curious. What about this topic? And then I'll say to it, take into account all my content I've searched and give me an idea of how I would research this topic out. So I'd say it's growing as fast as I'm growing, and learning to trust it and learning to feed information into it. And it's also giving me the same, kind of concept back. If I treat it with limitation, and if I treat it with kind of, prompting just short, limited instructions, then it will have the same output to me.
Sure. That's cool. And what came to mind now is Africa tends to be seen as an immature tech hub, but some of the most innovative, most fast, future thinking apps and solutions are born from Africa. How is this possible? Like, why do we call Africa immature in many senses of tech? But when you look at some of the solutions, like, especially in the financial services space, we're leapfrogs ahead.
Yeah.
Like, can you give me insight on that?
It's a good question, Jason. I think I've come to love Africa definitely a lot more since I've been outside of the country. You really develop a deep love for where you're from and appreciation for it when you're far from home. Not only the sophistication one part, but the people, the heart, is what I miss a lot. But your point here is really a kind of perfectly laid out. If you look at countries like Rwanda, they partner with big global tech companies to roll out AI learning programs that are tailored, AI driven, tailored, so personalized to people to create those kind of code hubs to get people into the future. This is that sort of forward thinking that probably doesn't get discussed all at once because, it's kind of probably a fear contributor. There's a pecking order in the world. I once saw an update on the internet about what the real map of the world looks like. How many years did we think that Africa was kind of in context to the North America ratio when in actual fact, it's a beast, So sometimes when we fear, something or we feel we don't, truly want to unleash the full potential, we keep it small.
No, that's so true. Like, Africa is a lot bigger than we think, and I think with that size, the deployment of media, like stories, is not as true, you know. And do you have any other examples of particularly AI? So I love that community example where Rwanda is deploying these hubs. Within your space, have you seen how AI is being deployed in other, if you want to call it, marginalized societies, that is creating like positive or even negative effect?
Well,
Do you
I
have any
think,
examples?
there are the biggest problem that we're seeing right now is that topic of ethics,
Yeah.
The issue is that, they say the prediction is by 2025, 84% of companies will all have rolled out AI. And only 13% of them are actually looking at ethical use. And that's a staggering comparison. That's a McKinsey report, and that's a real sobering reflection. We don't like to be accountable. And the moment we look at ethics and establish rules, we have to be accountable to them. And therefore, the issue also is that we're trying to transform from the way we used to do business to a modern way. And we are now competing with the landscape of economics being changed by another intelligence in the room, contesting our very own intelligence. And I think, technology is going to exploit a lot of leadership layers. It's going to show who the real leaders are. When you're seeing big layoffs happening in companies, it's a sign of poor leadership. Because effectively, you could let AI only work for your people by addressing mundane tasks, or you could let AI roll out learning programs that become part of your customer suite and how you service your customer base and also your people. Or you could kind of, completely replace 50% of your business to make sure that you push into investment and still make the same profit. So as you can see, AI is asking tough questions that nobody really wants to look at. We want the innovation, but we don't want it to ask us the humanitarian questions at the same time. I think big tech companies like Google have solid programs on rolling out learning hubs, free education online, but how do you get a marginalized economy like South Africa, for example, where 32% of the population is unemployed? Most of that is your
Yes.
youth. How do you all of a sudden get them who come from really, potentially difficult and oppressive backgrounds to now sit down on a hungry stomach and learn statistics? Like, you need hyper-tailored, hyper-personalized language barriers, a sophistication to come into schools. I saw a news post in South Africa around the debate of whether
Afrikaans should still be a language in the country. Like, why are we debating this? Like 1% of the country speaks Afrikaans. Make the primary language in the school based on what is being spoken in the region. Like, don't contest a big topic in the media. Your focus is off. Start being leaders that deploy programs that can actually personalize language programs to the user so that they can keep up and understand and then feel the relevance to it. That's what AI is here to empower us to do. So it's a little bit of a mind shift. We need to cut out the drama and come to the action points.
Sure. Yeah, and you did answer that question in terms of the examples. I like it because contextually South Africa, like if we have to talk South Africa because you're from South Africa, how do you actually see that rolled out? Because correct, a lot of South Africa live in townships. Like there's almost always a great migration in and out of cities. Like I think they say in Cape Town after Cairo, you have the most people going in and out of a city in a certain density, right? So there's a great amount of people moving in, and there's a greater amount of people moving out, which it's an interesting dynamic because of the history of South Africa. Then you're saying hunger, like I don't want to learn something if I can't even feed my body with energy. If you had to put that entrepreneur mind on, and you're talking about mindset, what could you dream of in terms of making that accessible for the South African community?
Well, it's a really good point, and especially seeing it kind of as a hub. I think South Africa is one of the most beautiful countries that I've seen in my life. Having traveled as much as I have now, I still see Cape Town, South Africa, the Drakensberg, the East Coast, some of the most beautiful spaces I've ever seen, the Transkei. I mean, look at that. That's just a place of magic. I think the biggest thing here is infrastructure. We have to focus on rolling out infrastructure that can make internet and data services affordable. And we need to look at partnering with companies and organizations without big political complexity to bring in the infrastructure that we need to actually empower these rural areas. In addition to that, you can use AI in crop developments to do analysis to make sure that the ground is kind of, healthy and you can actually kind of contest against anything that is causing the crops to fail. And then you can use that sophisticated technology to create more employment because you will naturally have more organic growth. And therefore you can feed more people and you'll have less cost on big import or export or issues on inflation. So I mean, of course, there's a big dark history in the country, but, we also have a big part of understanding that is, a good 30 years in the rearview mirror. It's a good time to start looking towards how we can empower the youth and the people that are in the country today to feel like they have more access to these services. Because one thing I can say is data in South Africa is expensive.
Yeah. That's a hot take. You know why it's hot? Because the methodology around helping South Africa is very, very nuanced, right? And I love how you mentioned, the conversations we're having is wrong, like especially on media. Like, why are we talking about Afrikaans where there's other issues we should be, putting into the limelight? What came to mind is that sometimes the AI conversation is too much, where it should be AI for infrastructure. So how can you see? It's not that we should empower our communities with AI. We should say, listen, we're using AI to build better infrastructure. By the way, here's basic education, which is already embedded with better forms of learning. But I would say you actually peeled me back. I feel naked now because that thought came to me. I'm like, wait a minute. Like we should rather be saying how can AI focus on the root solution for the root problem versus I think we sometimes put AI in front of the conversation. Like, oh wow, our kids should be learning about AI in school. Yes, but the people who are building schools are you using AI to build better schools? And it's like, no, it's too old. That's for the kids. That's for the next generation. They need to learn about it so that they come and fix our problems. Ooh, so very well put. I think that's extremely well put. And I like how you also talk about. Actually, maybe not like it challenged my thinking when you were like, okay, South Africa is complex. We've got many layers, and we're thick. We can look back 30 years in the review, and those, like, when you look back, those 30 years are tough. Like, it's a tough look back into the review, and the toughness, I think, should be create not a more tougher country, but a more aware on our transgressions, right? Where do you see, if you had to now have a lens, right? So like the same review lens, that type of long-term investment, what does that look like for South African companies?
Yeah.
Right. And then from those South African companies, what does it look like for our societies? And for those societies, what do South African people become? Like what is that version of Mzansi?
Well, you know what? It's going to go back to what Nelson Mandela said, man, amandla. Seriously. Everything in AI has to come back to people investments. And I know this is usually a topic that, because we live in a commercial world, it seems like it's a little soft, but you have to understand that the impact is going to be more immense if we just leave it unanswered. Because in 5, 6, 7 years from now, if we don't address skills gaps right now, you are going to have a bigger burden on the economy. You will have more unemployment, and you will have more issues on for the government to carry the weight of that unemployed skills. And if you're going to have businesses that don't think about sustainability in terms of long-term use of AI, if we're only focusing on sophistication for generative content, I mean, I love that for us. I think it's really awesome, but I think AI has a far better way to flex its muscle. You could ask it questions to solve problems that we don't even know of how to think yet, because it has different ways of, coming to the point of the variables. But it just means that we has to make the decision for the investment, because we are, after all, the ones pivoting the focus for AI. The biggest risk here is whatever inequality we see right now will dramatically widen if we don't jump on top of skills gaps and learning platforms inside of existing organizations. Use AI as a tool to create operational excellence, learning environments or ways of bringing bridges between teams, platforms or interfaces that create unique learning spaces where you can quickly transform into another part of the business. That is a smart way of focusing on what you have inside of your business with your people and your customer. And likely you'll still see more organic revenue growing from that. And in addition to that, you line yourself up to very sophisticated innovation in the future. And you're actually addressing a big problem by focusing on what the impact will be on, the big global economy in a couple of years if you just cut 10, 20, 30% of your staff right now to manage that bottom line. It's a short-sighted vision.
Yeah. What does the doom and gloom look like? So if you had to say, we don't invest in our people, we do this short-term thinking of cutting people and putting these quick fix methodologies and tech in place for a South African country, what does that look like? Because you talk about the gap being widened, and of course there's unskilled people, but on the ground, practically, what does that look like?
Nobody wants to be, it'll put a lot of people will feel like they're being pushed into a corner. And what makes people dangerous is when they feel trapped. On the ground, if we start bringing in big engineering automation to take away some of the manual labor, you have people on the kind of ground doing, or you're cutting out a lot of the kind of unexperienced or inexperienced professions and replacing AI to do that mundane tasks. And now everyone has to be
very senior, serious in their roles in business, you cut out a big portion of the population. Not only are you cutting out the youth that will have no experience, but what about the portion that we still haven't addressed now, the people that are already suffering? So you're putting a problem on top of a problem. You will create big, desperate environments. People will start acting out of a place of fear, which will make them really dangerous. So where you saw crime rates before, you will see bigger crime rates, bigger revolts. You'll find people also probably break into trying to use AI itself, because it is open source, and anybody that knows how to kind of think a little bit for yourself and come up with a good concept can use it. But, before you know it, you will have a space of kind of virtual warfare, because now you'll have people that will build programs to come and be the hero for other people. So it has to be a concept that we all agree on and make it serve us as kind of people and unity. And I know it sounds like a soft way of approaching it, but honestly, it's the first time that we are inviting a sophisticated intelligence with humans on top of our own complexity with one another. And it's helping us serve each other. But if we don't know how to serve each other in the first place, we're quantifying the problem.
Sure. So what about this here? And that is a scary place to be. Like you're talking civil war, right? You're talking absolute unsolicited riots.
Yeah, hopelessness.
Hopelessness, and South Africa is built on hope, even though hope is not a strategy. I don't think it's a good strategy, but there is power in hope. It drives nations, because without hope, what do you have? You can find yourself super empty. But now AI is seen to be seen to be able to take jobs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, create jobs.
Yes.
Okay. AI is taking jobs, or at least changing the landscape. Let's use that, changing the landscape of the job market. But at the same time, it's creating jobs. But we have a skills development problem, right? AI taking jobs, AI creating jobs. But there's this bridge where there's this weird, odd, unachievable skills development gap, because AI is also new, right? So how like, this is a real problem, especially for a country like South Africa. Before AI was even here, we had a skills development problem. How do we go about that?
This is a really good time to pick up the mirror and look at ourselves and ask who we want to be and who we want to see leading us. It's a time to look at our leadership and to be very crystal clear about what our expectations are for them, because they are going to be shepherding the impact of the next, future generations. I've been in spaces where we address, and this is more on kind of the advertising digital landscape, where we address what automation AI is going to do in platforms. We know it's going to cut 40 to 50% of, workforce. And you sit in conversations with leaders and they kind of shrug their shoulders like, yeah, but that role's going to be automated in the future anyway. They won't be around. We cannot be led at the head of businesses and government organizations with people that shrug their shoulders. We need to look at that environment going, okay, 50% of our workforce is going to be automated. What are the new roles that we can roll out in the organization, and how do we get them there? Then you need to actually put investment into AI to build out platforms that are going to start bridging your traditional roles into new roles, so that you can start addressing the problem that is kind of also, like you've mentioned, been looming with us for years in South Africa. How do we then take the 32% that don't work, that are unskilled, and get them excited about learning new skill sets? Because every new role AI is going to create will be technical, and it will be a communicative role, because it will take away some of the mundane stuff, but it will ask you for another area of work in order to partner with it. So we have to think futuristic, and it's got to come from a place of empathy and compassion. It truly has to. We have to really care about the environment now.
Sure. And you're touching on a point which brings a little bit of a close circle to this conversation around ensuring AI serves us, right? And it seems like leadership is one of the spaces that you believe will ensure the benefit of AI serves our community. Is there any other thoughts or ideas that we should be focusing on to ensure that this technological wave that is on us produces the benefits that serve us as a compassionate, empathetic country and even like the world?
Yeah. I think we need to come, readjust our school curriculums. It has to come from the foundational stuff. We simply cannot do things the way we used to. Our working hours will be impacted. The way we approach learning modules will be impacted. We have to look at more day-to-day stuff. Before, it was kind of easy for us to get away with learning skills, in a school curriculum that was kind of just part of the program. But later in your life, it never served you well. We need to look at the generation coming up, and we need to empower them with entrepreneurial thinking. Everybody inside and outside of your business needs to be treated like a future startup or a future idea or a future entrepreneur, because that's actually the era that we're moving towards. Work landscapes are going to change. FTE count will change. You're not going to have big, long employment contracts anymore. It's going to be more flexible, hybrid working environments. But in order to stimulate that, you need to have people that know how to be self-disciplined, that know how to run a tax sheet, a financial spreadsheet, to run a sales pitch, to have a good conversational, big emotional intelligence. So you can see now that we're actually moving away from impractical, logical thinking to very much human-centric, emotional stuff that will help us survive.
Sure. That's another hot take. Hot take. Like, honestly, Veronica, what came to mind is, do you know John Sinai?
Yes,
John Sinai.
yes, I know him. I follow him on
He speaks
LinkedIn.
about today teams and tomorrow teams. And I love the concept. The concept was basically you for an organization to really flourish, it has today teams that need to get a lot of the tomorrow's strategy done, because the tomorrow people are thinking ahead, and they're probably privy to a certain amount of information, also have a certain skill set in terms of empathizing with what they see in front of them and not being scared at the challenges. They bring all that context and assumption into the solution so that the today team can get some stuff done, right? But you made an interesting point where employers need to think about their teams as future. And what I was like, wait. But John's like, no, you need to have today team and tomorrow team. Like, too much tomorrow team, like too many of Veronicas, we're gonna go to Mars,
Yeah.
But then you need those. you need some today people to almost do like the day to day. But I think what you're trying to say is even the today people, it's not that they need to be tomorrow thinkers. They just need to know that what they're doing today isn't what they're going to probably be doing in the same way tomorrow. So that change, that ability to not resist change, that ability to be open to new ideas, that ability to pitch when you is it's powerful. It's very, very powerful. So that was really cool that you said that, because I don't think a lot of employees think like that. Like, they think like that for the execs. Like, yeah, how can I empower these people because they're gonna make the future for my business, which is capitalist thinking, I think, or old school thinking.
Yeah, it is. And it has a place. I think, partly it has a place. But I think we would be fooling ourselves to think that we can sit too long on the today concepts. technology is changing so quickly. We barely know what's going to be happening in the next 6 months from now. And that is a very sobering thought. It's just a matter of keeping us a little bit on our toes. And it's asking us to, instead of using the excuse of big organizations, or a big ship turns slowly, to rather say, well, use AI to develop a thruster that can, help the boat pivot quicker. But we have to pivot. We have to allow people to feel motivated and inspired for a future that is allowing us to have this companion, taking away mundane, ways of working, but potentially is opening up a whole other opportunity for us to enjoy life more. Honestly, I love the concept of the brand Patagonia. Like, let's build businesses in such a way where we, for the first time, aren't slaves to corporate, but that we come up with good ideas and that we enjoy the environment around us because we now have, proven our intelligence with AI, and we can move some of the mundane stuff out of our work streams.
Brilliantly said. Brilliantly said. Veronica, I would love you just to take a deep breath in. How does that feel?
Yeah, good. Got that off my chest.
You did. And you did get a lot off your chest. I have to say thank you so much. But before we leave, is there any question that you would like to ask me? Or is there a question I haven't asked you?
Well, I think for you, my question would be, when we spoke before, we spoke a little bit about the history of South Africa, and, there's an element of kind of retribution that is also due. We know the history, of the world. How do you feel where you are right now? You've been in the space of the different environments in South Africa. You've tried building your own business. You've been in the big circles with the CEOs. Where's your heart right now with technology and how you see it impacting your own home country?
There's a lot of sentiment around Africa being the next superpower, right? And that can be also a convoluted story because Africa generally is ruled by the superpowers. So why not push the attention to a place that should have been the superpower from the beginning? But again, why are we competing? But from, let's say, statistical points of where size, resources, people, we are technically should be performing the best, right? Or at least providing the world as a community with the most, right? So if we look at it on those terms, what with all my travel and like the conversations I'm in, market value is where I am. So the market value of my people is where my heart is at. Because I'm a business person. Like, you build a business for the market. And what is the market? People. So how I see Africa and South Africa is, it's not about the tech. It's not about the next best business. Market value. The value is here. And it just needs to be unlocked. Classic saying, Igoli. Joburg, right?
Yeah, city of gold.
The city of gold. Like, people won't say, people live there because it might be stinky, it might crime, all these negative things. But people are there because market value. But you need to enter with compassion, with empathy for this space of gold. So that's how I see South Africa. We just need good leadership, great mindset, constantly the ability to travel. You don't even need to travel there, but travel with your mind. Travel through a video and learn what South Americans are talking about. Bring it back to the place of gold. So this is how I see my environment, my people, and how we're going to go forward together.
Yeah, that's powerful, man. Market value is for people, and businesses are for people. So it's really 100%. Kind of a, seems so easy when you say it like that. No brainer.
So before we go, like I'm gonna say thank you, but there's a little game just to lighten us up, just to like let's button up, because we did get naked, and I really appreciate all the vulnerability, all the insights, and the real passion, like and empathy that you converse with. It's profound. It's actually very very profound, and I enjoyed it. But there's a game I want to play, and there's 6 questions, and it's just you've got 1 minute to answer the questions. So it's about speed. We've got to work together. And
Okay.
it's just an either or. It's an either or game, right? Either this, either that. And there's no in between. Whatever you're leaning more towards, you have to just say either this
Okay.
or either that, right? Does it make sense?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, cool. I'm gonna get my timer going on here. And 3, 2, 1, go. Food, sweet or sour?
Sour.
Travel, beach vacation or mountain adventure?
Mountain adventure.
Relationships, spontaneous date night or planned getaway?
Planned getaway.
Fitness, morning workout or an evening run?
Evening run.
Mind, meditation or journaling?
Journaling.
Learning, podcast or book?
Podcast.
Boom. Thanks so much. We had
Nice.
17 seconds left. Thank you
Very
for that,
cool.
Veronica. Very, very interesting. Cool. Brilliant, Veronica. Thank you so much for having such good compassion and honesty and sharing so openly. For our guests, where can they find you? Just let us know what you're working on. Just a little ending off, please.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me today. It was really a great conversation, super authentic as well. Anybody looking to reach out to me can contact me directly on LinkedIn. Feel free to send me a DM or check out our website at feedflexcreatives.com.
Amazing. I will put all those into the show notes. For now, keep it fresh, and thanks so much for listening. Peace out, everybody. Ciao.
All right. Thanks. Bye, guys.